And of course, food additives. Food additives is another way that we've changed our diets in the last 100 years. Real food is in its natural state, unprocessed, and free of additives, the way God intended. But in the West, we've shifted more towards what's called, but in the West, we've shifted more towards what are called ready-to-eat meals and fast foods, okay? In fact, we know that in the developed world, processed foods, in fact, most of our energy, our daily energy or caloric intake, comes from processed food. Processed foods account for anywhere from 25 to about 60% of the average person's diet, okay? I mean, they're just everywhere. Now, what we know is that food additives are added to food for various reasons. They're added to foods to, help preserve, the flavor. They help give it a certain appearance, maybe a certain texture. Of course, to extend shelf life. Remember, if you have green beans and regular green bean goes bad in a couple of weeks, but somehow they put green beans in a can and it's good for another 10 years. There is something in that can that is making it last 10 years. In fact, you probably don't want to put that stuff in your body. Okay, you want to wash those green beans, use soap, scrub them, because these are additives that are touching it, and, at some point when you eat it, it goes inside of you, okay? So this stuff your body identifies and tries to get rid of. But we are not aware of this. We're just eating things, not even knowing the processes behind it, and then boom, you wake up and you've got a disease. And people, they don't know what's happening. But here's what we do know is that additives have been linked with adverse health effects. I mean, you have, you have things like artificial sweeteners, right? Like aspartame. We know that it leads to gut disorders. Nitrates and nitrites. By the way, when you go to like a deli or something like that, a lot of people have to understand that a lot of these guys, they put what are called nitrates and nitrites on these meats, right? And they do it again because these are preservatives, okay? But here's the thing. You'll take that meat and you'll go home and you'll grill it, you'll barbecue it, you'll do whatever, right? When nitrates and nitrites are exposed to heat, they actually become carcinogenic. What it means is they will cause cancer, okay? Then they'll have some harebrained scientists come out on TV and say, see, that's why meat is bad. It causes cancer, or too much meat is bad. Utter nonsense. It's like saying eating out is the reason why everybody has a heart attack. It's the oil. Okay, so likewise, you hear these people say, you gotta go vegan, you gotta go vegetarian, you gotta, go green or whatever. I'm not knocking that, but the God of my Bible tells me that the optimal human health can be achieved by eating meat. In fact, optimal human performance is only ever achieved through the kind of nutrients that are found in meat. That's it. That's why you don't have a vegetarian country in Africa or Asia, okay? Because protein is what makes you develop mentally strong. That's why the Europeans were really able to conquer much of the world. They had access to protein. So, a little country like England could take over, a quarter of the world.
Cedric.
Yes, ma'am.
That's processed meats, like deli meats.
Yes, processed meats, yeah.
Let me ask you this, because I was somewhere, my understanding in reading said that if you get it from the deli where they slice it and that kind of thing, the problem is in the package.
Yes.
Processed.
They're putting nitrates and nitrites on there. That's what I was saying. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes. So again, meat is not bad. I don't care what anybody says. Meat is absolutely not bad. You have to understand, they are putting stuff in these meats. And you and I are eating it, getting cancer, and they're saying, see, it's the meat. You gotta go vegan, you gotta go green, you gotta do all this stuff. It is not the meat. You would not get the cancer if they didn't put all these additives on there, right? Just like, if you eat a lot of canned foods, you get a disease. It is not the product in the canned foods. It is the stuff, the additives. They're adding things in there to make it last longer, to make it taste a certain way. You see what I'm saying? So when you blame the product, you're blaming its creator. You're blaming God. And God did not do any of this stuff. Okay? But when man takes what God has made and then begins to tinker with it, and then the tinkering they did causes cancer, blame what man has done. Do not blame the creator, because he gave you what he gave you, and it's not going to give you cancer. Okay? But if you start tinkering around with it, it is no longer his. It is man's. And so this is why we are falling apart.